Hi, guys. Good evening, and welcome back once again to The Edward. I'm your host, Eddie, and in tonight's video, I'll be discussing what I thought of the latest, and that super gory, very entertaining horror movie from the creative, twisted mind of Eli Roth, Thanksgiving, which came out in theaters starting tonight. I just got back from a screening of it, really liked it. Before I get into all of that, of course, please be warned, this is a doozy because of the kind of film that it is. This is a spoiler, and I mean spoiler-filled review. So if you have not seen this movie yet and you plan to watch it this weekend, do not keep watching or listening to this video, as I will be discussing spoilers, plot details, character stuff, all that jazz. That being said, you have been warned. Again, spoilers from here on out, because I will be revealing the identity of the killer in this video. So be warned. Okay, let's go in now. Overall, very entertaining. Pretty much got exactly what we were promised from the trailer. You know, there's a tragedy on Black Friday. People die, and then 1 year later, somebody dressed as a killer pilgrim starts offing those who were indirectly or directly responsible for the tragedy at the shopping store during the Black Friday tragedy. It's funny because this movie should really have been called Black Friday, not Thanksgiving, since the tragedy occurred on the day after Thanksgiving, but oh well. I was mostly pleased with the fact that the killer turned out to be not the two people I was afraid it was going to be, because it would have been way too obvious, way too much of a cliche, and it would have been so predictable and lame. Thankfully, that was not the case here, because at first I thought, oh no, it's either going to be him or it's going to be him, like the two love interests of our main leading girl. Thankfully, it turned out to be neither one, which I was pleased with, because I didn't want it to be either one. If it had been either one, I would have been like, well, entertaining film, lame character reveal, or killer reveal. Thankfully, that wasn't the case. In this movie, it turns out the killer was indeed, the whole time, the sheriff. That's right, Patrick Dempsey's character, everybody. Turns out he lost a woman he was very close to, and who's actually carrying his unborn child at the time. Although it's a little fucked up, because she was cheating on him with she was his best friend's wife, but she was about to leave his friend for him as she was carrying his child. But unfortunately, we saw her get scalped and die in the opening scene of this film. Oh my God, the kills in this movie, super creative, super gory, super violent, very, very memorable. There are so many great kills in this movie. It's hard to pick a favorite because they're all so creative and memorable. Like, even before the killer springs into action and when we lose those three people in the opening sequence during the Black Friday tragedy, it's hard to pick a favorite kill, which I know sounds like a weird thing, but a lot of horror fans do this. You know, everybody's got a favorite kill or a favorite character death. But I guess for me, the one that really stood out the most in terms of being super memorable and super violent is possibly, I guess I would say, again, it's hard to say because I really enjoyed all the different character deaths in this movie. But the one that really stood out to me was, well, wait, did she die? No. Well, it wasn't really more of a death. It was more of an injury she sustained before death. But let's just go ahead and call it death. It's when the one blonde girl gets the corn on the cob holders jammed in her ears. As painful as it is to watch, that was probably one of my favorite moments in the film. Granted, they showed it in the trailer, but with the full context in the movie, it was still quite very, very entertaining. Again, I was very pleased with this film because I pretty much got what I was hoping and expected it to be. This movie pretty much delivered on its premise, and it was entertaining. It was violent, gory as hell. Not necessarily the scariest horror movie I've ever seen. A couple scenes did make me jump because they were effective jump scares, or cheap jump scares, I don't know. But they made me go, "Hey!" in my seat once or twice because of how unexpected they were. But overall, it wasn't the scariest horror movie I've ever seen, but it was still very entertaining and very, very gory. So I'm sure a lot of people who are big gore hounds will enjoy this film simply because of how violent and creative and memorable a lot of the character deaths are. So overall, I really liked this movie. I thought it was great. I'll probably see it maybe 1 or 2 more times. I don't know if it'll become a Thanksgiving classic, but I'm sure it'll become a cult classic over time simply because, you know, it seemed to be such a crowd pleaser. Like, I saw it with my friend in a packed theater, and the audience really seemed to respond to the movie. Like, it was unintentionally funny at parts, probably because the movie itself just doesn't take itself too seriously, and that's okay because that's what made it so engaging and entertaining. And people were laughing, people went, oh, or we went, oh, during different character deaths and scenes and stuff like that. So I enjoyed it a lot. And I'm also pleased that the killer wasn't who I thought it was going to be. I was pleased that I was surprised with the killer reveal. You know, the motive was understandable enough and simple. Although I do kind of wish we got an awesome villain death, which we did not get at the end of this movie. If anything, they left the door open for a possible Thanksgiving sequel. So we'll see where that goes if and when the time comes. But for now, this is a very entertaining film. I think people who are slasher fans will like this movie. If you're a horror fan, you'll like this movie. And if you're a Patrick Dempsey fan, you may or may not like this movie because of his character being the killer after all. So I don't know. But overall, I liked it very much, and I hope you guys did too if you're watching this film review. So what did you think of Thanksgiving? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Were you expecting more, expecting less? Did it meet your expectations? Let me know in the comments section down below. Try to keep it spoiler-free for those who haven't seen it yet. Thanks again for watching, guys. Have a great rest of your night. Thanksgiving is now playing in theaters. It's a fun one. Have a good night, everyone. Thanks for watching, and of course, until next time, what's your favorite scary movie?